Hello, and we're looking at causation in criminal law, specifically Novus, Actus, Interveniens. These are new intervening acts which come and exonerate the defendant from any criminal liability. And how it usually works is where third parties are involved, they need to act in a free, informed, and voluntary manner. So now we're going to look at the thin eggshell rule or the thin skull rule. Basically what this refers to, I'll give you a little bit of a picture behind such a graphic name for the rule, thin skull rule, is the idea that if you push someone and they happen to naturally have a thin skull and therefore die, but you only wanted to injure them, not cause death, well, that's too bad, because you have to take your victim as you find them. This is how the criminal law proceeds. And the first case to show this is R and Blue, or Belau, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, 1975. Now, basically, the victim was stabbed and required a blood transfusion, but she refused blood transfusion on religious grounds for being a Jehovah's Witness. Now, the defendant was still held liable, even though the fact that if she got the blood transfusion, she may not have died. He was still held liable because the refusal of the treatment, A, is an omission. It's not even an act, so it can't break the chain of causation. And B, you have the thin skull rule, which is that you take your victim as you find them. So in R and Deer, 1996, the defendant told the victim the defendant told the victim he has sexually interfered with his daughter, and so he slashed the victim. The victim died a few days later, but there was evidence that the victim didn't die from the injury, but they opened their wounds. But the jury was entitled to find that they did die from the defendant's original act, as it was still operating in substantial cause, as those wounds which were open, they would not have been there had the defendant not acted in a way that he did. Then you have another case of R and Haywood, 1908. The defendant chased the wife out of the house, causing her death, and was held liable. But the argument went that she was suffering from abnormality of the thyroid gland and so was going to die anyway. But the court said that he was still liable because he accelerated the death. He accelerated the condition. Let me get this right. So the wife had a thyroid gland abnormality, and the husband chased her out the house. She died, and it's also to do with the fact that any normal person wouldn't have died because she had this abnormality. And so he tried to say that it's not my fault, she's a special case. But he was still held liable because the death was accelerated by the condition, and it was not a cause of the death. The death was caused by the husband running, chasing her out the house. Sorry, the last one's a bit confusing. I hope that makes sense. But the idea I'm trying to get across to you is with this guy opening his wounds, this woman having abnormality of thyroid gland, and Jehovah's Witness, is that in all three cases, the defendant will still be held the defendant will still be held liable because criminal law is built on the principle of you take your victim as you find them, because you're not even supposed to be doing this activity in the first place. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you for watching.